Hey guys, Attorney Sharif Silmi again. I am back. And essentially, what I want to talk about today is the current situation that's taken place. So, today, the US Department of State issued its monthly visa bulletin. And the visa bulletin reflected, and I'm going to talk specifically about the situation for people from India, that the first, second, and third category all retrogressed, right? Whereas, and I think the one that's sort of really confusing folks is the first and particularly, the third. And the first category retrogression, you kind of see like a pattern here, right? January 1st, 2012, January 1st, 2011, January 1st, 2009. The reason why it says January 1st, 2009 here is essentially the messages do not submit. We're not going to issue any more visas essentially for the beginning of the year. We're going to find that the third category and also second category will return to the last, I would say, normal drop. It's always abnormal, but the last drop off that occurred. So if you go back a few months, you'll probably find around 2012, September, and along the same lines, maybe 2011, 2012 in third category. Now, with respect to first category India, this is essentially a retrogression that's being made so that the folks who fall within first category India are essentially informed that they're not going to issue any more visas for the rest of the fiscal year. So the USCIS had and State Department had a mandate to use all of the available visas that are allocated for the specific area. So, for example, for first category employment based, there are 80,511 available visas. Last year, fiscal year 22, they only used 54,137. Therefore, 26,374 were wasted, right? So that essentially resulted in the policymakers having the priority of utilizing all available visas for the present year. So we've seen, for example, those whose dates were current during the fiscal year, and they've had for example, an EB1 approval. The processing of those, green cards, the I-45 applications did go pretty quickly. So that essentially is the sort of the reason for this condition. So you're not going to, this is going to be, I think, a very temporary situation that will continue, obviously, through the remainder of the fiscal year, which is September, and that's it. So you have August, September, and we're done. We're going to be paying particularly close attention to the October bulletin, which will come out in September. So you did see one thing. Another thing I think that's noteworthy is that this visa bulletin is being sent out relatively early in the month. I mean, usually they'll at least go past the 15th. So that is an indication that they're, again, not wanting folks to continuously apply new adjustment of status cases because of the lack of availability in the categories. So it is important, if you are already approved and seeking, to file your adjustment status, that you do so quickly. Although for the month of July, meaning if you wanted to get your I-45 in for the month of July, you should do that quickly. At the same time, there is a possibility that they apply the August bulletin date to the month of July. That's one of the reasons why they may have issued it at this time. So there is high use across all visa categories, and particularly because I think of the EB1C folks who were, kind of waiting to get through the delays in consular processing while in India during the COVID period. That I think cohort of folks, came in this fiscal year for the most part. That used up a lot of the visas, and it was just a higher priority to get through and utilize and process cases where they, already were current and approved. So, we are seeing that, again, they're utilizing all available numbers. They're maximizing the number use in the first 9 months of the fiscal year. So as we go into fiscal year 2024, I think what you're going to find is that the dates are going to become normal again. They'll come current or close to current, and then you will see very fast kind of changes taking place. So it'll go back fast. It'll change fast. So between October and January, there's going to be, a lot of changes. And then probably even until February. And then from March onwards, it'll start to slow down. And then you get to the last few months of the fiscal year, and it'll either stop as it has now, or it would, just slow down, I think, dramatically. So at this point, I think that folks need to understand that whenever you're thinking about the first category, particularly those who have done self-petition EB1A, this is a long-term play. And if you are in a situation where your case needs that, tender love and care to get it to the point where you are approvable within an EB1A space, you are better off making sure that the case is developed and, fully approvable prior to submission, not allowing the blip of, what is now occurring with the priority date to become all consuming. These tend to be very, anxious and emotional times. And I completely understand and empathize with the, difficulty that we find there. At the same time, I think that you are going to see a lot of, updates to what these dates will be in the October bulletin, which will be issued in September. So my advice to everyone out there is play the long game, regardless of, where you are in preparation of your EB1A case. For example, for those of you from India that are seeking to file self-petition EB1A, it's okay if it takes 6 months, 8 months, a year to develop a winning case and advance your profile to a very high degree, because ultimately the dates are going to correct. And, you'll find that there's going to be serious changes that occur, but that window, to be completely honest and frank with you, that window is going to get smaller, but it's not going to close at that, juncture. So you're looking at probably a 9-month window every year over the next few years where you can, process and have your case, adjudicated with your dates intact. The vast majority of people, I should say. Just a note on, all other countries, it is showing a slowdown, and I think they'll have cases trickle in. Not much will be accomplished because they are going to use every single available visa and it looks like they have already done so for the most part. So, again, I think that you want to take the long view and find that these dates will change. All visas available have been used in the first 9 months of the fiscal year. And the next few months will be pretty much at a standstill. If you are submitting your adjustment of status now, you still can process it. You need to do it quickly. And there is a chance that the dates are for the month of August will be applied to the remainder of the month of July, and they may not, process those cases. And going into next year, what we're going to see is fast changes to available visas. Then it's going to slow down, and then it's going to stop. It's going to be the same cycle. You have 9 months where, there's availability. The dates are going to be reasonable. And then probably by the 8th, 9th month, it's going to get into the same point right now. So this is going to be a cycle. It's going to be typical. But those of you who have prior dates of EB2 or EB3 approval, and you have a very solid focus and approach to your EB1A profile, what you're going to find is at least 8 or 9 months out of the year, the dates will be current for you, and there will be a 2 to 3 month slowdown. There's no doubt about it. So, hopefully this helps clarify some things for folks out there, and that ultimately, we will be in a good situation coming October. And as always, feel free to reach out. If you have individual questions and concerns, you can go to our website, book a consultation directly. If you are kind of in an EB2, EB3 backlog, and you've been out there in, kind of thought leadership activities, or you've developed your case or your profile to such a degree that you want it evaluated, we can definitely do that for you, because the ultimate aim of moving past your temporary status into a green card is very much available for you. It's just that, you're going to have a slowdown, particularly in the last couple months of the year, because the mandate of the government, present government, is that they want to use all available visas, and they don't want to scramble as they have in the past few years, the last couple months, in sort of trying to expend or utilize whatever available visas they have. So they were pretty aggressive in processing all the available numbers. Then now at this point, there's no more remaining. Therefore, they have to shut it down for the rest of the fiscal year. September, we'll see what happens with the October bulletin, because that's when the new visas will be loaded and enable folks to sort of reinvigorate their journeys in terms of adjustment of status. But as it relates to preparation, filing of your EB1A or self-petition, don't slow it down, keep it rolling. And we are always here to answer your questions, your thoughts, and I hope everybody is doing well. Take care.